Because every time you bring your feelings to business, you are that further from being successful in terms of business. They don't go together. It's gas and water. They don't go together. Oil and water, they don't go together. Don't mix the two. When I was a young kid, my mom wouldn't buy me certain things, and my boys had the, what they call stone-washed jeans. My boys had the stone-wash. My mom wouldn't let me get the stone-wash, so I was like, I'm gonna make my own stone-wash. I had some dark Levi's. I'm about to make my own stone-wash. I put some bleach in the water, and boom, put my jeans in there. Then I threw a little ammonia in that joker. Just poof. The jeans came out fire, but I almost died in the process. I'm just being real. I didn't know. My boys like, your mom won't even worry about it. Bleach them ammonia, boom. I literally remember falling back and just, you couldn't even really see it, but you could smell it. I was like, man, that's what happens when you mix feelings and business. Poof. Every time you do it, just know that's gonna happen. Feelings, poof. It's a business transaction. I feel, poof. When you go into business, go in with clarity. Know what you want, say what you want. Don't beat around the bush. That's number one. Y'all got that? I just want to make sure we clear. I'm showing y'all as I'm watching Dan Gilbert, as I'm watching him in the meetings, as I'm watching him do the training. Here's what's crazy. Carl, I don't know if you remember this, and you can somebody get Carl a mic, because he might be able to bring a perspective that I can't bring. But every year, 2-3 times a year, I would take my whole staff and we would go to Dan Gilbert's training. Watch this, guys. Watch what Dan Gilbert did. I've never seen this before. Normally when you get hired, when somebody hires you, what's the first thing you do after you get hired? And I'm not trying to be deep. Normally when somebody hires you, do what? Orientation. Then after orientation, what? Okay, training, and then what? Somebody show you around, then what? You do your job. Now, from the time they hire you and you do your job, let's be real, how many days is that? A day. You ain't doing no 30-day training, right? Watch this. With Dan Gilbert, it was the opposite. When he'd hire you, he'd bring you to a conference first. Like this. Imagine that. You get hired, day one, you coming to this right here for multiple days. This is what you're doing. Food everywhere. They giving out bags the whole nine. Unbelievable. And so the first week, he tells you who they are. Once you find out who they are, if you don't fit, you get to go home. He doesn't do it the opposite. You don't figure out what your job is first, then figure out the business. You learn everything about the culture and the company's culture and who they are from the CEO and his right-hand man. And after that week, if you don't like it, you get to go home. It's the opposite with most companies. We don't communicate the culture. We end up getting fired because we don't really know what we're supposed to be doing. I love it. Well, guys, guess what? The number one reason Dan Gilbert would fire people is because they didn't answer a call in 24 hours. That was his biggest pet peeve. It took you what? 30 hours. You're fired. And people would do what when they found out they were getting fired because they didn't answer a call in 24 hours? Some people was tripping, like, how you gonna fire me because I ain't answered the call? Because I told you the first week, I told you that was a part of it. You knew. I was very clear on what my expectations were. You didn't do what I said, you fired. And guess what? You can't sue him. You can't say nothing. Why? Because the first 7 days, he made everything clear. He told you exactly what you need to do and how you need to do it. Most of us go wrong because we don't communicate with clarity. People don't know what they're supposed to be doing, what they're supposed to be doing. But once you tell them what they're supposed to be doing, it's over after that. It's a wrap. Once you know, I'm holding you accountable. Once you sign your name, clear communication. You can't hold people accountable for something they don't know. And many of us are not successful because we're not, like, you going straight into business when you're doing business. You're going straight into business. You're putting people straight to work. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. They don't know what you believe. They don't know what's important to you. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So I want you to put down communication, scale to 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. Like, I communicate super effectively. Now that you know, what number would you give yourself? And then write down the 3 things you need to change immediately when you leave as it relates to communicating. We're gonna get to the bag, y'all. We ain't here to inspire nobody. We're gonna get to the bag. The bag is totally different now for me. The bag is different. And listen to me, you only need to figure this out one time, And when you figure it out one time, you got it for the rest of your life. I never have to worry about speaking another day in my life. Never have to worry about speaking another day in my life. There are probably about 40,000 gigs a year. I'm going to get at least 1,000 calls from those 40,000. It's not going to change for me. I'd have to do something terribly crazy. I know what they want. I know how to give it to them. I communicate way more effectively now. And guess what? If I can't do it, I pay somebody to do it for me so they can make sure they get what they want. And then when I deliver, I give you exactly what you want. I exceed your expectations. Beautiful. Good. Somebody tell me if you didn't give yourself a 10, somebody who didn't give themselves a 10, you gave yourself a 4 or 5. Where are you? 4 or 5. Good. Give me the 3 things you said you need to do differently. Good. More direct and clear. Good. So also what I want you to do now is I want you to identify why you weren't doing it before. Why weren't you doing it before? Because I don't want you just to be like writing something down. I told you why I wasn't communicating effectively before. Because for 5 years of my life, I dreaded asking my mom, was that my real father? You feel me? That makes sense, LaShawna? I dreaded asking her. And the day on the 5th year that I asked her, and she told me, no, that is not your real father. Imagine now how I feel about having real conversations with people. The most important conversation I can have in my life turned very ugly, quick. And so after that conversation with my mom, I always felt funny about having serious, real conversations. Does that make sense? Ask yourself, why you have a problem being direct? Right? And I always remember when me and my mom would be direct, where that would end up. Like it would end up in the blow up. So I was like, all right, cool. I don't even feel like I ain't mad at my mom, but I don't want to deal with that. So let me just, since we can't communicate like I'm trying to talk, you trying to, and we can't, I'm like, I'm out, Mom. Like, nah, I don't like you, but I just don't want to do that. So I'm just out so that we don't have to do that. Because I don't know how we going to do this and not do that. So if we can't, I just gotta, because I don't want to do that. So I want you to be real on why you can't be direct. Why? Because the next time it happens, you're not going to be able to be direct if you can't get to the root of it. So how old are you? 28. So there's a reason why for 28 years you ain't really been direct. You feel me? All right. So now I want you to be like, this is why I wasn't, and we're going to go to the next level. All right. Yeah. Now remember what I said, though. If you leave the mic right there for me, Ray. Leave the mic. Remember what I told you. If you don't respect something, you can't do what? If you don't respect it, you're not going to be able to do what? Anybody can answer that. The stuff that we have respect for, how do we treat it? Good. When we don't respect it, we don't what? So what happens is you see assertive in a bad way. I want to make sure y'all catching this. I want to help you. You're not being assertive because you're a bad person. You're not being assertive because you're afraid to be assertive. You are not assertive because the person that you love the most was assertive with you in a way that rubbed you the wrong way. So when you look at assertiveness, you always see it from your mom. And because you didn't like it when your mom did it, you don't want to do nobody else like that because you feel like if you talk to them the way your mama talked to you, that they're going to feel the way you felt when your mama talked to you like that. Does that make sense? So what you have to understand is we have to now replace the evil way we saw assertive and see assertive in a good way now. We got to change our paradigm.